The Man Whore Podcast is sponsored by HotMovies.com. Try out some ethical, paid-for porn for free with none of those hidden fees or secret subscriptions when you sign up at HotMovies.com and use the promo code MANWHORE. The Man Whore Podcast is sponsored by Alt Playground. APG is more than just a place to find couples to swap with. Alt Playground is a lifestyle community for all non-monogamous and sexually adventurous people to connect and share. And you know I started a profile. Join me over at altplayground.net. That's A-L-T playground.net. Now let's get to the show.
Welcome to the Man Whore Podcast.
Oh boy, it's here, it's coming up, it is fast approaching, everybody. It might even be today. It could have already happened. Who knows, depending on when you decide to download this podcast episode. Hi everyone, this is Billy Presida, and you are listening to the Man Whore Podcast pre-election episode. Oh boy, I am not going to do a whole big long rant. You don't have to skip all the way forward. I'm not going to do a whole big soliloquy about why I think you should vote for Joe Biden. I'm not going to do a whole big thing about why, this isn't political differences. These are moral differences. And I won't do that. I'm not even going to do my whole big rant about how you should not get to enjoy the fruits of the sexual revolution we are in and sex positivity if you don't vote for the queer people who have led that revolution for decades by prioritizing their rights over your tax bracket. Won't do that. I've been saying those things for years, even since before the 2016 election. So won't waste your time with that because I'd like to get to this week's guest, Michele. And before I introduce you to Michele, I have one just last brief angle pitch idea. Look, if you are fed up with the gridlock in Congress, if you are pissed, so pissed, that the Senate a few nights ago voted to confirm a Supreme Court justice and then decided to go on vacation for a couple weeks instead of, forget voting, even just debating COVID relief. Despite the House having passed a bill back in May that would have given us stimulus checks, extended our unemployment benefits for fucking tens of millions of us, including yours truly over here, given, aid to local governments so they can continue to operate during a pandemic. No. If you're pissed that they did that vote but not the COVID vote, then you are actually most mad at one particular individual. His name is Mitch McConnell, and he's the Senate Majority Leader. I thought everyone knew how basic civics of the workings of the government worked, but then I watched a news thing and there was a lady on the screen who she flipped her vote because she was like, yeah, I did some research just about how the functioning of the government is, all that stuff I ignored in 6th grade government class, and I learned that just the president doesn't get to just de facto take your guns away, so I guess I can do that. And I was like, oh, maybe people need to know because Mitch has been the Senate Majority Leader since 2015 when the Republicans took control of the Senate. And he's probably not going to lose re-election next week. So the only way that you can take the gavel out of Mitch McConnell's hands is if you vote down ballot elections, vote for the Senate, if you have a Senate race in your state this cycle. If the Democrats can flip 3 seats plus win the presidency or flip 4 seats, they control the Senate. And this isn't about, hey, again, the Democrats control the Senate. This is about taking the gavel out of Mitch McConnell's hands. Very specifically Mitch, because Mitch doesn't let the Senate vote or debate things that he doesn't already know he will win on. And that's not good for democracy. That's not good for getting relief to all these fucking families, to you, to fucking me. It's not good for anyone if he's holding shit up like that. And he's been doing this since he started. And do you know why Mitch McConnell said he wanted to hold up the COVID relief talks? Not because of money. He didn't think there was enough money for families and for people like you and me. Not because he didn't think there was enough funding to help with COVID. No, he said, I want to make sure we get corporate liability protections. That's him. That's his words. That's what he says. He was like, we need to figure out just how liable corporations are going to be before we can actually help people. One man, not even the whole party, just one man won't let a bill that helps people even go into debate, let alone a vote. And that's bullshit. And the only way to stop it, Joe Biden winning doesn't even stop that. We have to flip the Senate. And you don't even have to think that Dems have to flip the Senate. But the only way to get the gavel out of his hands is if the Democrats took the Senate. It might be a little different if the Republicans would come out and say, hey, we're going to actually vote for a new Senate majority leader. But they're not doing that. So that's why I'm pleading with you, begging with you, vote. If you really fucking don't like either of these presidential picks, you could in theory leave that slot blank. But if you live in Maine, Texas, Georgia, who has 2 Senate seats open, Iowa, Arizona, Colorado, North Carolina, Mississippi, who could elect their first black senator ever, hey, Alabama, we got Dougie Jones trying to hold on to his seat over there. If you're in any of those states with a Senate seat up, Montana, oh, I love Steve Bullock. He's a cool fucking ground of the earth kind of guy. I like him. If you have a Senate seat open, please don't be selfish. Please go vote. Please vote down ballot. Regardless who is president, if Mitch McConnell is the Senate majority leader next year, it's going to be a while till we see anything actually happen. Please vote. Who knows? Maybe you'll get there. And as you're skipping past the presidential spot and going down the ballot and filling in all your local races, you may even be like, you know what? I want to have an opinion on this president thing too. But for the love of God, please just show up to vote. The fuck else do you have to do right now? You got a whole week to go vote early and in person. If you need to learn more about how to vote, where you can vote, this isn't even a partisan site, iwillvote.com. They don't care who you're voting for. They just want to make sure that you vote. And I really would like you to vote too, preferably in the direction of people who support equal rights and helping families instead of holding out for corporate liability protections. Gross. Don't forget what Man or Podcast guest Madison Young told us a few years ago, all sex is political. So in a way, this is kind of a political podcast because we're sticking our dicks in glory holes. We're making porn stuff. Folks, the Man Whore Podcast has been running every week, even during the pandemic. I haven't skipped an episode for y'all. I even started going twice a week for a little bit. We were doing some Corona Cast episodes when I was quarantining nonstop with my girlfriend, Megan, a.k.a. Miss Giggles. I'm out here working hard for y'all, and the only reason I'm able to commit my time to making sex-positive content for you and putting out this podcast every week is because of the support of my fan whore community on Patreon. Just $2. It has you doing your part to keep this podcast operating. Because there's enough support on Patreon, I don't have to go find other work to fill in for the fact that I can't do Man Whore Con. That I can't go do trade show events and sell merchandise. That I can't do live podcast shows in cities around the country. That I can't even do live stand-up. I can't even do the live stand-up that's free and unpaid. You know, like I can't do any of the other income. But because of my Patreon community, I don't have to go find other work elsewhere that takes time away from me working for you. So it only costs $2 to do your part and to be able to say that you support independent content creators. And let me tell y'all, in a time where who knows if I don't know if my Medicaid's going to be taken away. I don't know what's about to happen with health insurance, but if you want to keep your independent content creators going, if you want them to keep doing the things you love that they do, shoot them money on Venmo, join their Patreon, buy some merch if you've always kind of thought about it but never knew when to pull the trigger. Which, by the way, you can get all your Man Whore merch in my Facebook fan page for the Man Whore Podcast. Throw some dollars up. If for some reason you're just really not feeling like giving it to me, but there's another creator you know you can give a couple dollars to, please at least then commit to go giving it to them. Go today, give some money to someone who makes shit you love, even if it's not me. And I know times are tough and I know people are hurting. I want you to be a top-notch fan whore like Cooper Grady, who gets his own fan whore appreciation moment all to himself. You know, even though you're not the Emmy-nominated Grady Cooper, who worked with one of my top favorite comedians of all time, Chris Rock. Even though you're not that person, I'm still a fan of you, and I want to give you a shout out for being a member. And you too can join today at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. And now for this week's guest, Michele. Michele is a former colleague of mine over at In Touch Weekly. I don't know if y'all know this, but when I started this podcast back in 2014, I started it talking to women I'd hooked up with about sex, dating, and why we didn't work out. And I started that podcast sitting at a desk in Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey, fact-checking celebrity gossip pages in Touch Weekly and Life and Style and Closer Weekly. Making sure we, got Kim Kardashian's bra size right. The important things in this world. Isn't it crazy that Celebrity In Touch Weekly has better fact checking than the president? So weird. And Michele was one of my coworkers. She's a copy editor over there. Cool. And, on her last day of work, which wasn't far away from my last day of work 4 years ago, we almost fucked at work. It was so close. Granted, I thought I was going to be getting a blowjob at work. She thought we were going to fuck at work. But both of our plans were foiled when it just didn't feel like we found the right spot in that parking garage. So, although Michele and I have never hooked up, I did feel like, she's the closest thing to a work flirt I ever had. And I thought that was a good enough reason, if any, to have her on the show. She's an interesting lady. I went out to her place out in the country, by the way. We did this interview in person, but masked. She does live out in the country, so to speak, in a rural area. So even though we're inside, you can hear the nature. In case you were wondering why you can hear some owl doing its come fuck me call. Let's go chat with Michele. The Man Whore Podcast is proud to be sponsored by altplayground.net, the site to go for your next non-monogamous adventure. Because hey, even if you're not meeting up with people these days because of, you know what, it's never too early to at least start laying the groundwork. And that's what you can do with other singles and couples at altplayground.net, which announced in September the acquisition of another lifestyle site, Love Voodoo, which means now 500,000 former Love Voodoo members have been granted trial memberships with APG. And APG is working hard to bring lifestylers and non-monogamous people together in one nice, convenient, and fun place. This means even more sexy people for you to connect with all over the United States of COVID America. And because it's a paid membership that people take it seriously. So again, join up today at altplayground.net. I don't know about you, but I've been doing a lot of stress masturbating. Not necessarily because I'm horny, but just because I'm stressed the fuck out. And leading up to the election, I just think it's appropriate to watch a little bit more election-oriented pornography. And I've just been trying to put a little bit more of that into my stroke sessions. And thank God for hotmovies.com. Yes, because, at hotmovies.com, they license content from all of your favorite porn studios, all your favorite porn stars, featuring all your favorite porn categories, which includes films like The Donald, a porn parody where Evan Stone plays you-know-who. We've also got Presidential Reinitiation, Presidential Peepers. If you want to get international about it, there's Bunga Bunga Presidente or Mi Vula Presidente. I think that's Italian, but I don't speak the thing. La Nuit de la Presidente. I think that means First Lady. It says in parentheses. What I'm saying is, if you want to stress out on the election by coming in your hand, you need to check out hotmovies.com. And you can get 20 free minutes on the house just for you on top of any package you sign up for, including the free trial, when you go to hotmovies.com and use promo code MANWHORE so they know I sent you. I'm personally just going to try to come until I pass out and wake up in February of 2021 and find out that, the country's in a better place and the Jets made a long shot 6 seed bid to win the Super Bowl. That's what I'm hoping for. Now let's get to the show.
I left before that because I was gone. I was on.
Oh, right. So all of that. Oh, that was your last day of work, not
Yes.
my. I was just wondering. I was sitting in the car and I was like revisiting that day, and I was like, "Why was I so nervous? Like it was my last day.
yeah.
I'm fucking off." It was like, no, because it was your last day, and I still
You
had
were-
to be there.
Exactly.
Like I was still trying to pick up a few more paychecks,
Right.
And I
I was like, I gotta watch cameras around here. Yeah, that was the awful part with all of that too. Was my car? I had car trouble, like literally in every state, so I was constantly stopping. And on the evening of the election, I was spending the night in Indiana and had to wake up in Indiana on the day after. So you can't. That was probably the worst part of the entire drive across country. But anyway, glad to be back. So,
glad to be back,
Yes.
Michelle. Nice to see you again
too.
after whatever.
Oh my God,
4 years
4
now.
years.
Yeah.
But we almost managed to avoid each other for an entire administration, which I think is pretty good. If only that could be true in real life at this point, right?
Well, I wanted to have you on because like you were the closest thing to a work flirt that I'd ever had at like an office. Cause
Right.
like that was my only office job.
That's your
by the
only
way.
office experience, right? Yeah.
Right. And so that was the closest I had to that. I thought of us as just like fellow pervs who
Yeah.
in the office who
Yeah.
who just shared weird shit on Slack.
Right. Yeah.
Have you had a work flirt before?
I'm not really. I know we'll argue on this one, but I don't consider myself to be a flirt. I'm usually, if I am interested, I'm interested. But if I'm not interested, I'm just treating you like I would talk with my girlfriends or my gay male friends, and just sort of like. But I've always been raunchy and love a good, sort of rude joke or sort of innuendos, and obviously that's the type of thing that I find funny. And when I find a kindred spirit, I'm always happy to be able to share something like that. And that was, I think, what Slack was actually invented for.
Yeah.
I know it was its most important purpose as far as I could see. But
what was really funny was like I first realized that we were like-minded people when we were both in the what was it, New York Mag? It was Time Out New York's like naked issue or sex issue or whatever.
Exactly.
Right? And like I went for like a photo shoot to like wear like nude underwears and do a big group shot. And then you were in it as like this like sexter person or something. Like I get the magazine, it's like, oh look, there's me, and then I'm just going through. I'm like, is that Michelle?
Yep, sitting on a rock in Fort Greene Park. It was that was actually kind of fun. Because I feel like we were chatting before then a little bit.
Yeah,
too,
but like that's when I was like, oh, she's a fellow
weirdo.
freak.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of fun actually. That was kind of a. I can't even remember what I answered to get that, or if someone had put me onto that. But it was kind of fun.
I was curious, I wasn't worried about, like, say, getting caught at work, because my mindset since I was in college was like, well, I'm really going to commit to this. So I may get employment here and there, but if I lose it, it's not as important to me as comedy and showing my dick on the internet.
Right.
And so, but for you, like, you're a working woman. And like, so were you not nervous about being like, quote unquote, out? It's not like the office didn't know.
Yeah, no, I didn't feel like, I wasn't wearing my, In Touch t-shirt or something, which I still have. But, no, because I felt like I was answering, issues that I think that sort of a part of a spectrum of people who aren't necessarily, I don't know, just sort of coupled off and till death do you part. And I found the stories in there pretty interesting in terms of what angle people were approaching things from.
But you weren't nervous like someone at the office would find out and like you could like lose your job or something?
No, because I couldn't even see how I mean, I want. Did someone see me besides you? Very possible. But I didn't. I didn't think that was terribly fireable. And
because people do view that like I hear so many people concerned about like being an openly sexual person or openly poly or openly queer or whatever,
Yeah.
and they're worried they're going to get fired for it because they're like they went to a BDSM night.
Yeah, I mean, like with many of those things, it's. I'm one of those people who I don't care if people know, but I don't care if they don't know either. Do you know what I mean? I don't feel the need to like explain or label or share a lot of that sort of information. But if people ask, I'm quite open to tell people. Do you know what I mean? It's not, to me, it's just what it is. And I mean, I feel like everyone has their own line on that. And so, I mean, I'm an open book. I just don't talk. Do you know what I'm saying? If people ask or want to know, that's fine. I just don't assume anyone's interested until they actually let me know they're interested.
Right. You don't like impose your perviness on your coworkers unsolicited.
Exactly.
Right. Which is shocking because there's so many dudes who seem to keep getting in trouble in the workplace for just imposing their sex lives upon others. And it's like, you're a perv, and yet you don't do that. It's almost as if it's possible to not be a piece of shit about it.
Well, and I feel like with most jobs, and I'm not talking about you doing comedy or, other jobs where they are really a reflection of something that's important to you and something that, is part of your identity in some way. When you're already in sort of acting in your way, and you're coming in, you'd rather be there in bare feet, you'd rather not be there, all sorts of different things.
Sweatpants, you'd rather have jerk off breaks in the middle of the afternoon.
Exactly, things like that. And when I'm president, I'm instituting those. But you sort of get yourself into a mindset of, this is I'm acting right now. I'm acting like this is my whole life.
But then again, like our friendship at the office, was pretty, sexually informed. Like we were both like, we're both kind of out sluts about things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought it was interesting because I thought you had such a good sense of humor about everything as well, in sort of a self-effacing way that was, because neither of us were sort of like coming at this in terms of like, oh God, we're like the hottest person in the room, and look at the trail of destruction we left behind. It's more like we're just regular folks, and this is fun, and but this is not something that is. I don't know. It was more of just a matter of factness about it that I kind of found refreshing, and I kind of prefer that approach.
Well, what would you say like was the difference between like the way we interacted at the workplace and sexual harassment at the workplace? Like why was the way we conducted ourselves okay, but the way so many things seem to be happening in offices, what was the difference?
I think you're a comedian, know your audience. I think if you can know, you don't have to, sort of go at it full bore, but I think you can notice when people have joking. I mean, there are some women there with whom I'm still good friends, and we would have awful little jokes like that going on. Some other very good friends I had there, that's just wasn't part of it. I think it's noticing when the person also feels, when you don't feel like there was no boss and an underling relationship going on, which is, I think, is just stay away from that.
That's an easy one to just avoid.
Yeah, it should. Let's say it should be. Unfortunately, anyone who's ever been harassed or made to feel uncomfortable in an office knows that it's obviously not that easy. But I felt like, in a peer group, in terms of, job power over another person, you just seem like a very easygoing, sort of funny dude, and I could make you laugh, you could make me laugh, and I just enjoyed our conversations. Which is another thing where I find it wasn't like flirting, and maybe I'm defining it in a different way. I've been told that
you just have a very flirty personality.
Right.
I've been told I have a flirty aura as well,
Right.
but like, yeah, you like. Maybe it was the perviness and openness about. That's the other thing. It's like what it seems like when a woman talks to a guy just about the topic of sex. It's almost as if, oh, she's hitting on me. It's like maybe no, she's just talking to you about sex.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's because in many of those cases, you're talking the same way you might talk with your female friends or other friends that are also not of sexual interest to you.
We would say male friends if I had them.
Right.
If I got along with that gender, I would.
Right.
That's how I would probably speak to them.
Yeah. It's that is part of the thing, and I think maybe you are more at ease speaking with women about things or whatever. You seemed like you were. Your method your way of chatting with me didn't ever feel like it was like going to turn into an overt hitting on somebody type of thing. Okay. It felt like just having a good laugh over something.
They felt like non-aggressive chatter.
Right, exactly. And had it been like, oh, I wonder if this is something going on. I think either of us would have known how to escalate it or whatever. Do you know what I mean? In terms of like, oh, someone into me or not, whatever. I mean, and it was funny though that half of the office would be like,
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
What's up with Billy?
Well, yeah. What were those? Because like, I think Dylan must have at least once asked about it, because I was like, wow, like the fucking everyone in, because we had like a corner where like my department and your department were, and so everyone could hear and see, and so I guess they all thought we were fucking. So what were the conversations that you had?
People like, I had a few people like, I think Billy has a really big crush on you. And I would just avoid it just because I couldn't, I avoid it, but not in a denial way. Cause I think it's very funny when people think that they understand what type of relationship they can have with, you know what I mean, between people. And, I'd always be like, oh yeah, he's so nice. Just sort of like, so, cause force people to directly say what they want to hear. And they will generally back off and then walk away and be even more tormented by you. And it's just more fun that way, I think.
Keep them guessing.
But yeah. Nicole thought we had a little fling. A couple other people directly said, "What is going on with you?" Yeah, I agree. I mean, there were people that I connected with in different departments and over different things, but just for a guaranteed sort of like, bonding chuckle, I knew I could count on you.
Now, you knew me back when I was a lot younger, like, so I got to that office when I was 24. I was a baby.
Little free research baby.
Little 195-pound baby. Where'd that weight go? It's like, but, so I was there like from like the age of like about 24 or 27ish, something like that. How would you describe me back then?
In terms of, I thought, let's say, well, young. You felt like you were just finishing school and just like, what am I gonna? This isn't my final destination, but what am I reaching for? Like, will I be able to sustain a career in comedy or whatever? And you came up to me like a little bit like. Sometimes immature, as 24-year-olds are, in terms of, I thought there were some elements of your behavior that I thought were just this is what like we were all like when we were 24, like a few times when I'd be like, dude, if you did the research on this, why is Miley Cyrus's name still not spelled right? You know what I mean?
okay,
And you'd be
so-
like, yeah, whatever. It's like, I don't care about Miley either, but but it was like, really just try and be like, oh, damn it. Sorry, Michelle. I should have caught that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're
but
just
you
sort
know
of
what?
like,
Fact checking at a celebrity gossip magazine
I know.
fucking makes you want. I remember one time I got into a fight with Nicole over whether or not it should be Kaylee Cuoco or Kaylee Cuoco Sweeting.
Yeah.
And I was like, I found myself having an argument over a hyphen, and I was like, I don't know, I think I need a gun to hold to my head because I can't believe I'm having this
a
discussion.
discussion of,
I hate
hyphenated
that, I
letters.
hate that I have to care about that.
And especially when you know that the hyphen will be gone within 6 months to a year anyway.
When she fucking got divorced from that guy, I was so
like,
pissed
finally.
off. That was the first thing I thought of. I was
Yeah.
like, I got into a fight over that.
I know,
Nothing?
right?
You make me get into a fight over a hyphen, lady. You better stay with that
Better
man till you
stay
die.
with him. Exactly. We just change your friggin' name.
Or the time where I had to like stare at Orlando Bloom's dick. I don't know if you remember that page.
Oh, I
Where-
remember.
And then,
Yeah, that was
and then they
like the
took the
paddle.
uncircumcised line out, and it was like I never had to look in the first place.
I know, right? Right.
Motherfuckers.
The paddleboarding, the great paddleboarding incident.
So not the most
But,
thorough worker. Sometimes was there anything
Right.
else or any other immature red flags?
No, not really, because I think you can really only expect from people what they are able to give.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so, and some of the stuff was delightfully immature, like little gross jokes all the time.
Oh, gosh.
That's the best part. So that, you know what I mean? That sort of thing that I find amusing. At 24, it's adorable. At, 54, I'd be like, oh, God, I mean, groaner, because it's like, grow up.
So what you're saying is because I was so boyish, I could get away with certain things that not at like 54.
And I think, and it wasn't even in a matter of getting away with it. It was more like a reflection of your age and life experience rather than, some older dude trying to perv on everybody, which is a completely different dynamic. I mean, someone who's 54 is going to most likely be in a more successful position at a particular workplace than the 24-year-old. And if you've been in the workplace for that long, you should know things that you can't get, that where you could cross the line.
That's
And-
also why I asked. I was like, what was
Yeah.
the difference between like what work, like workplace sexual harassment
Right.
and like how we conducted ourselves?
Right.
Because I think there are some guys who might listen, go and be like, "Ooh, I want to learn how I can be pervy in an ethical way." And it's like, or I want to learn how to hit on my coworkers in an ethical way. It's like, no, it's the reason why it's ethical is in part because no one's hitting on anyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Like if the goal of your, like you sharing that you had a threesome over the weekend is in hopes that the person you're sharing it with
Because
wants to
like,
now have a threesome
"Oh,
with
yeah."
you, then you probably shouldn't be sharing this information at all.
yeah, exactly. And also, and there are certain elements of that when you start, like you and I could share stuff like that, but if you were interested in someone else in the office, that wouldn't be a good thing to share with them.
Did you have any work crushes at Bauer? Or in your adult office career? Yeah.
In my adult office
Like,
career,
would you have adult? Yeah.
I've had adult office flings in my life.
Now, how did those transpire?
After work drinks, yada yada.
Okay. Yada yada.
Yeah.
But like how much like lead in is happening at the workplace?
More, I would say more friendly, or like, just noticing who you're enjoying chatting with when the whole office is out having drinks. I mean, I was working, at places where you would go out for drinks a couple of times a week after work, and that would be,
Appropriate.
things would happen, or also it was sort of segregated in terms of your layer of experience at the company. So you wouldn't be sort of like going for drinks after work with someone who was directly responsible for whether you had a job or a paycheck. which
So you kept it kind of lateral and in
Exactly.
an appropriate zone.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like over hitting on you at the office as much as
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, have you separately experienced workplace sexual harassment?
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah. In terms of unwanted contact that was deliberate, phrasing of certain things, compliments that went beyond what a non-sexual compliment would be. I mean, I worked at a place with one of the higher ups was an older gentleman. It was like maybe 70 or something, and I always wear my summer dresses, and they're fun and all that cute, nothing sexy, just big things that look like 50s housewives, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he would always, you just always look so cute in your dresses or so pretty in your dresses. And he didn't mean it in any sort of way. But there have been times where I've been told that, it in a way that where it's a come on, and it's just, it makes you feel like, oh God, so I'm going to lose my job now. You know what I mean? It sets up an unnecessary amount of, not tension, but just like a feeling of like, God, I thought I was doing a good job here. And the best thing that this dick can say about me is that I look really cute today. Is just so dismissive. And, it hurt. It's not just like that moment where you can be sort of like, oh, fuck you for talking to me like that. It's more a matter of is this really the thing that people are going to see with me? That,
You're wondering if everyone else is thinking that too?
Yeah, you do. Is this something you're always going to have to contend with? Or is this like, is everyone talking about your ass? And that just, it starts just to feel hurtful in that sense. And sometimes frightening. I mean, when somebody actually does, make contact with you, either in or out of an office where you just, what a deliberate bump into somebody or rub up against somebody is. And
is this like just because you've mentioned it twice now, is this a very specific incident, or is this just something that has happened a lot to you at offices? The deliberate contact.
It's happened. I haven't worked with that many in that many offices where I felt like a really strict hierarchy of mostly men. So I've been fortunate in that way, but I would say in any of them that I had, there's always been at least one person that was known for you to stay away from.
Is that something like your coworkers, your female coworkers would kind of warn you about?
Oh yeah. Just, there's certain people you just know don't be alone in a room, although, and I don't want to say this was fortunate in any way, but when I was little, I had a gymnastics coach like that. And so the idea of letting your fellow women know so-and-so is to be avoided. Don't ever be alone with so-and-so. It sort of, the idea that it would continue to my adult life was, dispiriting. Certainly wasn't unheard of. And I think most of us kind of have experiences when we're younger that lead
Stay
us
away
to
from that uncle.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't let somebody else spot you on the balance beam because, it's really, really common. Sometimes it's traumatizing and sometimes just like, okay, this is what life is, and I'm just going to, do my best to avoid it. But,
and how did it affect you?
Disordered eating, withdrawal, extreme, I would say, things like that really, made the problem with my gymnastics coach was absolutely like I withdrew, I quit gymnastics. It made me feel very. It just was like you're taking away things from me because I can't risk, being abused. And it's just really sad. And there are probably a hell of a lot of women out there who would tell you the same tale, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But when you're an adult, you also, if you are in a workplace setting, and I mean, you do kind of know. It's sort of like not all men. It's like, we don't need to be told not all men. We're smart. We're women. We recognize it. So by your behavior, you can tell whether someone is going to be a harasser or, an ally. They don't need to say, oh, not all guys are like this. Like, I get it. I know plenty of guys who aren't like this. And, I think that's part of what you get just from life experience.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember the first time, like in an office where like someone did something that was inappropriate towards you and like you registering like that's not supposed to happen?
I do remember it was leaving a meeting, and there was sort of an innuendo about liking to see more of me, and it was just like I was just like. My usual thing, just like when somebody makes some sort of a racist joke when I'm supposed to laugh or something like that, it's like, oh, I don't know what you mean.
Can you please explain your really shitty joke? I just don't really get it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's great.
Can you
make it make sense for me?
Yeah, because I'm sorry, I just don't understand what you're talking about.
Black people are like, what again? I'm just sorry. I never heard that one before.
I never heard that joke.
I guess my parents didn't teach me that one.
Yeah.
Can you explain the watermelon thing?
Yeah,
I would love to know.
Right.
I would love to know.
Well, and that's the same thing, when somebody just says something like that, where it's clear, what they mean, they know what they meant, you're not an idiot, and you just say, I'm not sure what you mean, but we'll see each other at the meeting tomorrow, or something, just to try and deflect from it, just because what you'd really like to do is, twist a scrotum or something, and you just know that's not going to help you in life.
You would actually get in trouble for that, where he doesn't get in trouble for the comment. Exactly.
Yeah. And that's just the dynamic that happens. I mean, I guess that's why, fortunately, I don't think workplaces are necessarily as bad, with fewer. I think there are more women who have risen to the tops of things. I mean, look at even in publishing, how many women we've worked with.
Granted, it was levels. It was Celebrity Magazine, but like I know there were a lot of women who were above me at that place.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. And I think, and I feel like, just as people have found out, I mean, there's times when you speak with somebody who's older who'd be sort of like, well, I learned a long time ago just to, get away from them and all that. It's like, that shouldn't be how we work, and that shouldn't be how we live. You know what I mean? And I mean, and that's why the fact that you and I could be joking about it was sort of like, just in a way, in that way, a little bit refreshing, in terms of, oh, you can talk with somebody without it being, it can be about sex. It doesn't have to be a sexual thing.
It doesn't have to be intimidating or aggressive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But, I don't know if I can be a little bit of an outlier on those things, because I just remember one, there was a birthday party there. This was before you were there. And one of our coworkers got this cake, and he, when he went to take the top, he goes, "Oh, fudgy bottom," and I just burst out laughing because I'm a child.
Fudgy bottom.
Bottom.
That'll end a date night.
Exactly. Yeah, that's not good at all. Unless you like that sort of thing, and then it's $40 extra. But he just, and we totally bonded over that, because the fact that I just couldn't help but burst out laughing like a 5-year-old would over something like that. But anyway.
Yeah. What about like HR departments? Like, are those any help? Have they been any help?
I have never gotten help from an HR department.
Have you gone to an HR department with like sexual harassment claims?
I have. I had, when somebody deliberately, someone who was walking past me, ass grab, like, but as if, oh, my arm just was there and your ass was there, you know, and it's like, and it's sort of like
your ass was there, my hand's there. It's I
like,
feel like they go together.
Peanut butter and chocolate, man. It's like, exactly.
I don't know why you're so mad.
Yeah, what am I supposed to do? You know, I have to say some of the most harassing remarks I've ever gotten of all the sort of like implications on short girls, you know, spinner type of stuff, which is really kind of horrifying because it's like it's another thing where you're like you're fucking have no imagination and you're disgusting. But
you're like, hey, if you're gonna harass me, be a little more creative.
Be creative, exactly,
you know?
exactly.
Tell me something I haven't heard before.
And right, and so that I can, you know, give back because that's sort of like one of those. Oh, wow, yeah, nobody's heard that one before.
And the HR department didn't do anything about it.
They really, quite often, this never happened at where we worked, where I had to speak with HR, but there's a very distinct feeling that this, you know, not this, you know, what you always see with the, well, you know, company accused of something and they tweet out about how this isn't tolerated, this isn't the corporate, but, you know, this isn't the environment we foster. It's like, most places do kind of tolerate some things and they try and sort of get past it with sort of sensitivity training or whatever. But, you know, by the time they're calling in the fire department on something like that, someone's already had their feelings hurt. And sometimes your spirit gets broken a little bit too, in terms of maybe this isn't a career that I feel comfortable pursuing anymore, because if this is something that I can't go to HR for, and this should be what HR is, that should be part of their job, is to make sure everyone feels comfortable where they're working, you know, and you don't have recourse confronting the person and you don't have anyone else who will back you up, really kind of makes things very unpleasant. And I mean, I think everyone's probably left a job or found themselves really miserable at a job for the reasons like this.
And you shouldn't have to be, because that's the person who should have, you know, the other guy's supposed to leave.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, because if you're following the rules, you know, the corporate standards and stuff like that, then, you know, you should probably have your rights respected, like, you know, as in any place. But
yeah.
But.
So your last day of work.
Yes.
That was a fun one. Do you want to share with the listeners what your recollection of that day was, or that afternoon?
That was fun. That was fun.
That was the most fun almost I've ever had.
Me too. And that was wandering. We went wandering down to the basement. And
well, why don't you give them some build up of some pre-story?
Been a little bit of like never going to see each other again, joking around about stuff, and we're both obviously game for misbehaving, and so we ended up down in the parking garage. I think that was level 2.
Yeah.
And it was unfortunate. Well, there was a little possibility of something happening down there, until the realization of cameras right next to every stairwell down there. But it was fun.
We did roam. We did try to find a spot, and then you'd be like, "Oh, there's no cameras here, but I think I hear someone." And
because it was like that big open backed garage, and it was just very. That would have been a very fun ending to both of our times there.
Well, do you remember any of the lead up that day? Because like I only left my desk because like I basically got a text. I remember getting a text from you like, I am going to get up and go check out the garage. Mm-hmm. If you want to come, you should come now too.
Right, exactly.
Like, and I was like, oh, okay. I should get. It's like I gotta finish this page and get up.
Right. But I think we'd been sort of like. I think we've sort of been joking about this though, because you knew it was my last day and all that.
I was on the out soon too.
Exactly. We were sort of like the say goodbye to New Jersey sort of thing. But it was fun. I was fully willing to commit, and it was. You never know how many hidden spots are no longer hidden until you start wandering around down
But it's
there.
like also it's like why the fuck did we care?
I
Like
know.
that was
I
the
know.
problem with that's my upsetment at myself. I'm like,
Right.
wait, what the fuck am I mad about? Like,
Yeah.
it's her last day and I'm leaving soon.
Right.
It's
You
like-
had you already given notice? No, you had.
do you remember when that was? Like what month?
Yeah, it was.
I gave notice
would have
November
been-
1st was when I gave notice.
So it would have had to have been sometime in October.
Yeah. So, and I had already known like I'm
Right.
going to leave
'Cause
very soon.
that's why I think I was confused on the date because I know you told me that
Yeah.
you were leaving as well.
and it's like, so why not fuck at work? Like, what's the worst that happens?
Right. it was really funny. I think, however, it didn't turn out. Whatever, it would have been fun, and I had such fun just wandering through the garage there because I felt like we were like 12-year-olds playing hooky. You know what I mean?
It
was
felt
like,
a little
it's
bit
just
more
so
like a
funny.
12-year-old and a 15-year-old.
Right,
Because like
right,
you were
right.
like holding my hand, guiding me
Okay,
out,
right,
and I'm
it's
just
like,
like, yes, ma'am. Like
Yes,
I will go
sure.
where you told me to go.
Oh, sure. Yeah, because you were the sweet and innocent little fella, right? Oh my God, but
And
that
then
was so funny.
Do you remember the driving misconnect afterwards?
Yes, but wait, say it again. Okay.
My memory was like, so you drive off, whatever. It's like, okay, take care, enjoy,
Yeah.
your new state. And I am walking to the bridge because I was playing Pokemon Go. That's how I got a lot of my Pokemon Go in traveling to and from Brooklyn to work in England.
Right.
So I'm walking down the street, and then like I think,
Oh my God, no, that's right. Because I do remember this because
I was like, you should come get me, and like we can find a spot. And then you had passed me. And like couldn't find me on the streets.
yeah. And because you know how those roads are there, it's like once you start getting into the lemmings heading for the bridge, like you can't always what I mean.
It's not easy to just like stop and turn around. So like
yeah.
you had missed me, you're kind of gone, and I'm like
that's it.
because like I'm walking,
yeah.
I'm just like seeing spots. I'm like, I mean, that's a good place for a blowjob. You could someone could probably fuck there. I walk the world like a film scout, like
Right,
a location
right.
scout
Like a location.
for Hollywood, where I just go, oh, that's good for a detective thing,
Yeah.
and that's good for like an action movie,
Yeah.
and like that's where two people could fuck.
Yeah.
Like that's how I just view the world. It's like where
this would
you
be
could.
a great place for exactly that.
Yeah, I'm still
I
trying
know.
to get Maiden Lane down in Lower Manhattan. I
Right.
just think it has a lot of potential.
Yeah, exactly. Some of those alleys are quite good. I Crosby isn't so much anymore, but I could recommend that in the past.
Okay.
There are a few. You want the ones that look like they would only fit like a horse and buggy. Mm-hmm. Those are the lanes you want to.
Have you done much public sex?
It's fun when it happens. I mean, I had sex like on the Staten Island ferry and
What? How'd you do that?
if you go down, there's sort of like an engine room sort of thing.
Speak closer to Mike. This is like the most
Just
important
get
thing.
your notes. On some of them where they have that sort of lower level and you can go down near it seems like an engine room type of thing. It's just like this big sort of metal corner and then there's edges around there. It's fun when it happens, but I'm not like necessarily, I don't have to have, I'm not compelled by having people see me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If it happens, I'm fine. I don't care. It's like I'm
But not really an exhibition.
I'm not immodest. I'm just not either a voyeur or an exhibitionist.
Okay.
It doesn't get me necessarily going. And I've had sex in places where it's like obviously people can see, but that's not the big turn on with something like that for me. It's more like I'd like to have sex now, and
And this is where we are.
I know.
And so in the same vein, have you fucked at work before?
Let me think.
I can't imagine that had we had fucked in the garage, that would have been your first time doing that.
Trying to,
Because you seem like a seasoned vet,
like a carpe diem,
a very
yeah.
veteran, slutty woman. That was like my perception of you.
Right.
It was like, I was like, this is what I could grow up to be.
Right. I want to be like you. I don't. See, living and working in the city, it wasn't a necessity to have an in-office building fling. I mean, I did work in an office where plenty of people were having sex in the office, which made it to me, it sort of like sounded like, ugh.
Were people fucking at Bauer?
Not that I know of.
Oh, okay.
And not that anyone else seems to know of. I had never heard of any specific coupling going on there. It's also just sort of like, with that, I just wanted to be back home in the city and get away from, get over the bridge and like, okay. Yeah, so not a tremendous amount. I mean, I've had coworker crushes. I've have hooked up with coworkers, but I mean, I would say a decent amount. But in terms of I mean, I can't think of a place there that would have really been great for a hookup.
I agree. As someone who spent the several years there, always kind of scouting.
Oh yeah,
and I was always like, the garage is probably the best bet.
Right. But it's.
Did you want to fuck me before that though?
No, I just thought it would be a fun little send off. You know, I enjoyed our like the kind of joking and relationship that we had. Who knows what would have happened if this wasn't like a getting out of work in New Jersey at 7:00 or whatever, you know, that sort of thing.
Remember that one time like Ice-T and Coco came and we were all supposed to get dildos? I never got my vibrator.
She never
Michele.
sent that box, and I'm still angry. I'm still a little salty about this because remember she told us that Coco Pink she had it just made just for her, you know. And we're both March 17 babies, and I chatted about that and the dogs, you know, because my dog and their dogs have sniffed at the at Chelsea Piers Dog Park, and so I felt completely bonded here, you know, law and order, and nothing. And she promised a giant
box of dildos. She promised us.
She said sex toys of every variety.
We are gonna tag her in the tweet for this episode and be like, "Where's our vibrators, Coco?"
Yeah, right. I wonder if she's still doing that or if that was just a thing. I know one of the dogs is no longer there, but
so for you that they would have, it was more for like, it sounds similar to me. Like this would have been a very fun novelty to do.
Oh yeah.
With a friend at work. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And that's and that was that is what I really enjoyed. Like and that's why I feel like flirting, because usually when I feel like flirting, which is, it just doesn't happen a lot. Although my boyfriend will tell you that I totally flirted with him the night we met. But
I mean, look, you texted me to get up out of my chair so to go fuck in the garage.
Right,
you seem like a forward,
like a gal on the
aggressive
go.
alpha gal. Yeah.
I feel like flirting is when, you know, the girl talks to you at the bar all night and you know, blah blah blah, and then it's like maybe gives you a number but doesn't pick up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think flirting a verb like that is yes, but to me being flirty is like almost just a vibe, an aura, and I was like, well, yeah, then we are very flirty people just in general.
Yeah, right.
But like, I don't know that, like, I don't like, for example, like I didn't actively flirt with you, but like we are just two flirty people talking about pervy shit semi-regular basis.
And having a good laugh.
You're telling me about your threesome over the weekend. I'll be like, tell me more. How was Sergio?
Yeah, right, exactly. But that, you know, I mean, that like, because to me, flirting always just sounded like the type of woman that behaves in ways that I don't behave. I don't want to waste someone's time in a social setting if I feel that they're actually interested in me. I can't be like with the banter and all that kind of stuff. That's if somebody's actually thinking I'm either going to leave with them or I'm going to go out with them in the future, and that's not, you know, I can't just take them for the drink and then blow them off. I just can't. I just cut it off right there. That's like more of a directness rather than do I know how to flirt or whatever. You know, I guess I know how to flirt, but it seems like an unnecessarily cruel way to waste some guy's evening if he's out looking for someone to go home with. And I don't have any intention of it, and I'm just playing along.
Sure.
That's not fair.
You can buy your own drinks, yeah.
I can buy my drinks. Let him find somebody that will respond to that sort of like, oh, a free drink. Yeah, sure. Wow, nobody ever offered that before. What unique. I mean, but I mean, maybe that's why we kind of had such a good, jokey and fun and chatty time working together. Neither of us quite fit the mold. Neither of us were working our way up the ladder there. You know, and I think we had a lot in common in some ways there, and I think we both got each other. And see, to me, that was sort of a special sort of thing. So that talking with you like that was more what I would talk with maybe a friend or two, rather than, you know, your general coworkers. And so I think that was why we got along so well, was that just that feeling. I know. And I really enjoyed working with you.
Yes, I enjoyed working with you as well.
And just chatting and such.
Yes, and I enjoyed taking your hand and following you around the parking garage.
Around the parking garage.
Finding a place to take my dick out.
With that stupid ceiling
did
stuff.
I get?
That
Did
like
I get as
foam
far?
balls.
I think I think I got as far as my zipper being undone.
I believe there was zipperage. Yes, there was.
Did my dick come out? Did you see my dick?
No, I did
Okay.
not.
Yeah.
I know I have to pay now to see that.
Well, Michelle, was there anything else that you wanted to chat about?
No, I
Anything
just
I didn't cover?
really enjoyed, and hopefully when we're out of these unfortunate and perilous times that we're in right now, we can go grab a drink together and chat in a real social setting where, you know, rather than this masky thing. And yes, I'm wearing a Mets mask.
Yes, a Mets mask. Hey, I would say things, but
I know.
You know, I'm a Jets fan, so
That's the worst thing to be. I know
That
that
is
much.
the worst.
I don't know my American football, but I know that is true. Thank you so much for thinking of me. And I'm sorry it took us so long to get together to do this. But I think it's a really interesting topic in terms of where does the friendship, how friendly is friendship?
what's appropriate.
Where does it cross a line? How do you know when you've crossed a line? I mean,
if you are part of the C-suite, it means you don't do that with anyone at work.
exactly. But I feel like, yeah, at a certain point you just got to go like, sorry, got to pass that one up. I love to, but it's just not a good move. But I just thought that was that you being there was always made the day a little bit more fun, and I appreciate that, and just nice to have somebody to talk to about when you share certain other things that you might not share with
Michelle, I like
the rest of
talking
the
about
office.
fucking with you too. It's okay. It is the Man Or Podcast. You can say that.
Exactly.
It's fine.
I was being polite.
I assume you're not plugging anything.
Not at this moment.
Just checking. I don't know. Sometimes they're like, "Yo, follow me on the Insta."
Yeah, I know, right? No, I am not.
Don't follow Michelle. That's my instruction at the end of this
You just have to
episode.
ask for an invite to follow me on Instagram.
Well, Michelle, thank you so much for chatting with me, and
Thank
then
you
I
so
hope to
much.
see you again soon, maskless.
Absolutely. Thank you for talking to me. And can I just sing? No, I'm teasing.
No, sir.
No,
She's standing up ceremoniously.
I'm now I'm on the same height as you. Now that I'm standing up. No, I do not sing, so you don't have anything to worry about with that. But this was delightful, and I really enjoyed having a chat with you. I think this was a fun afternoon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Why don't you go ahead and say goodbye to everybody?
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for joining my TED Talk.
If you enjoyed my conversation with my friend and former coworker, former almost fucking at work partner, Michelle, we've got a bonus episode coming out tomorrow. If you're curious about how she lives her love life, her thoughts on relationships, and what her monogamy versus non-monogamy situation is, she has a bonus episode out tomorrow exclusively on Patreon. It joins 200 other bonus episodes over there behind the paywall. And you can gain access to that by becoming a member at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, PatreOn.com/manwhorepodcast. I'd love to know what you thought about this week's episode on the socials. If you want to tweet at me your anxieties about the election, I'm on Twitter at @TheBillyPresida. I'm shadow banned on Instagram at BillyIsPresida. You got to type that whole thing out or I'm not going to show up. And if you want some sex-positive memes and Man Whore Podcast news, you should smash that like button on the Man Whore Podcast Facebook fan page. This message I got comes from Chris. Hi, Billy. It's actually Chris from The Peep Show. I am bisexual, but shy about sharing stuff about my sex life online. That's why I lurk so much. However, I am a big voyeur, so I like to watch people fuck and masturbate and all that stuff. And I sext a lot, especially during this quarantine. And to be honest, I only got into The Peep Show because I think you are extremely hot. So I was curious about your OnlyFans page. Chris is not alone in being curious about what the Man Whore Podcast guy is offering over there. My OnlyFans is free to follow at onlyfans.com/callmebilly. I love chatting and flirting and sexting with so many of y'all. It's way less creepy when you do it on OnlyFans than on Instagram. So thank you. And if you want to shoot me an email with your comments, your questions, your criticisms, your anxieties about Tuesday, I am here to listen. I am here for you. I'd love to hear from you. You can shoot me an email at manwhorepod@gmail.com. Like I said up top, I'm not going to tell you which way to do it. I'm just going to beg of you, please, vote. And if you have the option, vote early. And if you need more information on voting, visit iwillvote.com. I want you to flip the Senate and stay slutty.